And here on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio. My name is Johnny Hughes. The voice you heard there is the voice of a desperate call by the NPP's Ashanti Regional Minister Bernard Ntribu Isiago, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi. This was when the security personnel besieged his home and he made some SOS calls to the radio station, which subsequently went viral. My understanding is that he was subsequently invited to the police CID. He appeared the first day, returned the next day at 3 p.m. For further questioning, the CID finished with him. And then when he was headed out, EOCO officials were told, grabbed him and took him to the EOCO premises. Well, as we speak, he's still in EOCO custody. Many have slammed the Rambo style in which he was arrested. Reports that during the period he also took ill. Suddenly, he was taken to a hospital or a clinic. We don't know which specific one. His lawyer has been speaking. We will listen to the party's general secretary or chief scribe. But first, let's talk to Dr. Victor Doke. He's a security expert and analyst and a teacher of all things security. He joins us now on the phone line. Doc, thank you very much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny. How are you?
I'm greater than Accra, Doc. Good to hear from you.
Nice.
Doc, do you agree with those who have slammed the Rambo style in which Chairman Wontumi was picked up?
Thank you very much. It depends, before I respond directly. Now, when you talk about an arrest is effected based on multiple factors. One, cooperation of the person, the accused person. Number two, refusal of the person to, collaborate and then come in per the invitation. And then three, you look at the accused person finding or looking at 4 excuses not to appear. So the Rambo style or whatever style of arrest depends on the factors, okay? i.e. the accused person themselves and then the authorities effecting the arrest. Now, in this situation, well, what I'm hearing, if it is true, was that the said gentleman was invited so many times through the approved legal, processes. But then he was, finding ways and means to say, he would appear this day and doesn't come. And hence the, approach of the security agencies going into the area, okay, to effect the arrest.
Right.
So for me, whether I agree or do not agree depends on how I see it, okay? So it has to do with the personalities themselves trying to cooperate as much as possible because we've established nobody's above the law. Now, when it comes to the state security and specifically National Security, National Intelligence Bureau, and even the internal, police CID, one thing I've always, stated is that we cannot expect that when it has to do with national issues such as this, corruption, threats to our democracy and our peace, we will expect that the police will sometimes take the legal approach, yes, right. Invitations, the warrants, and all of that, and then proceed to the houses of these personalities with armed agents or personnel, because then they do not know the terrain they are going into, first of all, and also the fact that they may have invited the personalities and have not gotten any feedback. That is what we'll want, that we see 5, 10, 20, well-armed personnel going into, a set official's house to effect the arrest.
Now, in this particular instance, following the picking up of Chairman Wontumi by the EOCO officials, we know that a handful of party supporters have besieged the entrance of the EOCO office near the Atamils High Street, demanding his immediate release. Are they justified?
No. Why I say no is that when we have a change of government, you see that, Johnny, this thing has been recurring.
Right.
The fact that, personnel will be invited, or some political elites will be invited, and then party supporters mass up at the offices of venues where they are being held. It's been happening, it's been recurring. So that has become part of our politics. Now, massing up doesn't mean, if I'm in the position of the said gentleman, massing up there doesn't mean I'm not going to be tried. It doesn't mean I'm not going to be investigated. It doesn't mean anything. You showing solidarity comes in many forms. You can do that as per what the law requires, but you have to do it legally and not interfere with the processes of investigations. So those who are massing up should also know per the law that if you interfere, i.e., attack any personnel or the agency, the building or whatever, you could be picked up and then you'll be tried. Now, when this happens, are we saying that whichever official, be it from NPP, NDC, or whatever, should not be tried because what? He has a name, he commands, or, he like orders or commands crowd or cloud? Should they not be touched for what? Probably the allegations that have been leveled at him for him to come and answer? No, I don't think so. We are trying to build resilient and independent state institutions. And that is what we need to encourage. So whoever belongs to any political party and has been invited, I think this is what we have to be ramming on. Whoever is invited should willingly, voluntarily submit themselves for questioning and avoid this kind of disgrace or, unnecessary invitations coming in with armed men, which causes trauma and all of that. As supporters would also need to be told the do's and the don'ts.
Right.
You massing up as an agency doesn't change anything. If I am found guilty per evidence, I will go in. At the end of the day, we are trying to build a strong, resilient, and independent institutions which will work, and that is what we all want. We are trying to send a signal to these current appointees that they will not be spared if the NPP should come back to power, and then they also want to understand their dealings with regards to whatever it is. They want to get an understanding of how state funds are spent. This is the same thing that's going to happen. So we need to be really cautious about how we mass up and how we use social media to send signals, rush here, rush to these places to they are trying to pick them up or whatever. An invitation comes in, you honor the invitation to avoid all these unnecessary things. I think the politics has been drawn into this too much. I'm looking at holistically the security as the peace of the country and how we are going to build very strong state institutions that tomorrow, if these two political parties are not even there, anybody that comes in will be rest assured that the state institutions are very independent to effectively and efficiently roll out their mandate.
Dr. Victor Doke, thank you very much indeed for your time. We're grateful that you could join us this morning. Thank you. And Dr. Victor Doke is a security expert and analyst. Going on to the other phone line, we speak with Mr. Adam Senanu. He is the co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption. Mr. Senanu, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and good morning, Johnny.
Great. There are videos that are circulating, videos from last year regarding contracts of road construction, $1 million per constituency, and many others that are being alluded to Chairman Wontumi holding on to those funds and not delivering the public good. I don't know if you have seen them. Have you seen them?
No, I haven't. You're just briefing me. But yes, please proceed.
Now, some suggest that beyond the question of galamsey or illegal mining, which has been popular out there, connected to his arrest, some say that this latest arrest by EOCO would point to some of these monies. Do you get a sense that EOCO is holding him perhaps for galamsey or for these economic reasons?
No, my impression is that the other economic issues, there's some international bank, there's some I can't remember if it was a loan or bank or grant.
Exim Bank, right?
Exim, thank
That's
you.
Right.
I think the current thing it must relate to the Exim Bank monies which he has not paid back, and they may take advantage of that to pick up on any other such transactions that are of economic nature where he is wanted. So if these contracts you are talking about are legit, I wouldn't be too surprised if they are also part of the portfolio they are looking at.
Now, the conversation is around the streets is that this is not prosecution, it is persecution, political witch hunting, and all the issues in between that are not pointed towards getting justice and all of that for the people of Ghana, but just to show somebody where power lies based on order from above. What do you say?
I don't see how this even begins to become a form of persecution or witch hunting. When we offer ourselves to serve in whichever capacity which is public, or we engage in transactions that have to deal with public funds, monies that the state must account for, what you do is to open yourself up for monitoring, you open up yourself for periodic evaluation, you open yourself up for assessments and investigations as the case may be when there are questions to be answered. And I think perhaps there is that lacuna in the understanding, maybe a deficiency in the public space of appreciating that to the extent that you have received any public funds or engaged in any actions that have something to do with public property, assets, what have you, you are open to investigation from time to time as the state agencies may deem fit. And nobody should be calling this persecution or witch hunting. Rather, what it is you encourage such individuals to make themselves available voluntarily, especially when you know you have a clean slate. There should be no questioning about making yourself available and abiding with what the lawful agencies are asking to do. All of that is actually part of Article 41. The obligations of the citizens captured in Article 41 includes obeying the instructions and lawfully provided instructions of any state agency, especially the security agencies. So it is maybe an understanding gap, deficiency in our appreciation of what we are expected to do as citizens.
Now, again, the bigger conversation about party people massing up at the frontage of the EOCO office, including top party brass, not just grassroots people, who are making the same demands that their party grassroots are making, suggesting also that the media has been quiet about some of these arrests. Are they justified in that call?
Again, so the whole question is that what is that supposed to be? If state agencies are engaged in, as it were, exercising their mandate under the law, you want to be interfering. Is there any evidence to suggest that by massing up outside the gates of state agencies, they would not do their work? Far from so. In fact, it would be totally unacceptable if any of our security agencies fail to do what they are required to under the law because you have citizens massing up at their gates. So perhaps we need some political party members' education for them to appreciate that you can't do this. There's everything ethically wrong about it. Because the right thing is that these agencies should be allowed the space to do their work and report back to the people so that there's transparency. So at the end of the day, there is an open report saying that, look, we interviewed A, B, C, D, E. These are our findings. These are our conclusions. And every one of us can see that they followed due process. The rights of these individuals were respected. The conclusions drawn are in sync with the evidence that they have identified. And we can all see that this is not witch hunting. So I think that rather than massing up, what we ought to do is to nurture a culture where we allow the state agencies to do their work, but they should openly report back to the citizens as part of the accountability measures that we have. And all of us can then look at the processes that were followed, the evidence that was gathered, the conclusions that were drawn, recommendations that are being proffered, and be able to tell that this was legit and above board. This is not right for us to mass up. What are we trying to do? Intimidate the state officers?
Right. Now, the president of the day is being fingered for being behind all these things in the order from above fashion. His brother, Ibrahim Mahama, is also drawn into this. For example, the fact that he is a rival businessman, so he's looking at collapsing one's business empire so that his business empire could stand. Again, what do you say?
Oh, these communication specialists who are just creating spurious arguments. What is the connection between the president and Wontumi? I mean, didn't people like me, Martin Pebu, Kenneth Asigbe go and make a report saying that this man should be picked up and interrogated 2.5, 3 years ago when he entered the forest? I mean, there are so many issues that have come up from whenever that this individual is wanted. How can it just simply be the president who is asking? In fact, for some of us, we see a systemic failure. And I've been asking myself, what do we do about a situation where institutions of state fail to act when they are obvious, grievous breaches of the law? And they wait till another government comes in place. That is too little, too late. So let them not start banding around stories that, where's the evidence? What's the connection? What it is now is that institutions of state appear to have found their teeth to do what they should have been doing long ago. And we need to be investigating who did not act, why they didn't act, and if possible, even sanction them for that. Because if we have that kind of culture, then it's going to be you have to wait till one government leaves before we deal with the substantive breaches of the law, which is totally unacceptable in a democracy.
I see. Now, since you mentioned Galamsey, you have made certain demands of the government of the day, and do you see them coming to fruition anytime soon?
Well, there appear to be some very important steps being taken, which make us happy. I mean, you can be sure we would wish that some of these were more rapid. Because when you think about it, you just take the Galamsey thing and the impact on, for one, the cocoa industry. Really, people who are involved in chocolate will tell you that even getting the raw material now, we are paying 300-400% what it used to be 5 years ago because it wiped out most of those plantations. The impact on water, on lives, So I've always said that if our president is the commander-in-chief of the army, can't we have, the army involved in this? Have a campaign, a 3-month campaign, flash them all out, So, yes, we are happy about the important steps. We wish they were much more radically faster so that we can deal with this thing very substantively. And let's make sure we hold to book anybody that we find who are complicit, in perpetrating this injustice against all of us as citizens.
Final question to you, Mr. Senanu. So this Operation Recover All Loot by this government, some say that, look, arresting people here and there will not actually bring the money. When you arrest them, collect our money for us and first before you start taking any other residual measures. What do you say to that?
Which one is it, Operation Oral?
Yes, but they say, for example, if Mr. Wontumi has been picked up, if there's any money that he has or any other person is picked up and there's any money that they have that belongs to the state, first collect the money before you start dealing with them on other residual issues. We want the money first. What do you say to that?
I think it's a very good approach to use. The thing is that the person must first admit that I have money that does not belong to me. A few months ago, I was in Kenya where they launched their Kenya Integrity Plan as a guest speaker. And they have about 12 specialized courts. The head of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission told me that, look, we now have specialized in negotiating to get the money back and access back first. You do some plea bargaining, we negotiate, we make sure we've gotten as much as we can, and then we decide what other sanctions we should apply. At this stage, we need most of the resources we can get. So if there are people who are specialized and able to have these kind of negotiations, get as much of the resources, any properties they cannot legitimately so that they... And we need to create the legal framework to cover that as well. I mean, part of the EOCO law already says that. If you can't show a legitimate source for the property or money, then it must be criminally sourced. Let the state take over. Let's begin to do this more. I think I'm aligned with that line of action.
Mr. Adam Senano, Citizens Movement Against Corruption, we're grateful that you could join us. Thank you very much.
And thank you for having me, Johnny.
Great.